Most agencies don't lose deals because they're bad at marketing. They lose them because they disappear right after interest shows up. Not intentionally, not out of neglect. Simply because things get busy. If you've worked inside an agency, this probably sounds familiar. A lead comes in. You see the notification. You think, I'll reply in a few minutes. Then a client message pops up. Then a meeting. Then another task. And before you realize it, that lead has gone cold without ever being told no. That's what makes follow-up failure so dangerous. It doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like productivity. But over time, it becomes one of the most expensive leaks inside an agency. Agencies are actually very good at the front end. Ads, outreach, referrals, inbound forms, DMIs. Attention isn't the problem. The breakdown happens after interest appears. At that point, everything becomes manual. Someone has to remember to reply. Someone has to check if the prospect responded. Someone has to follow up again. And when an agency is juggling clients, deadlines, and delivery, follow-up quietly slips to the bottom of the list. The real cost isn't just lost leads. It's the time spent chasing new ones to replace people who were already interested. It's the mental load of trying to remember who needs a reply. It's the missed growth that never shows up in reports because silence doesn't feel like failure. Most agencies don't realize how much revenue leaks out through this gap. Picture a small to mid-size agency doing solid lead generation. They know how to sell. They trust their offer. Leads come in through forms and DMIs. In the beginning, responses are fast, but as the agency grows, response times stretch. One lead gets a reply in 10 minutes. Another waits a day. Another never hears back at all. Not because the agency didn't care, but because there was no clear system deciding what happens next. So the agency pushes harder. More ads, more outreach, more content. But the real issue isn't effort, it's structure. This is where most agencies misdiagnose the problem. They think they need better messaging, better offers, or more traffic. In reality, what's missing is a centralized system that controls what happens after interest shows up. Follow-ups live in inboxes. Conversations live across different apps. Notes live in someone's head. And the moment things get busy, visibility disappears. A proper system changes the role of the agency entirely. Instead of reacting to leads, the agency controls the flow. Follow-ups don't depend on memory. Communication stays organized. Every lead is visible, tracked, and accounted for. Nothing slips through simply because someone forgot. Here's why this works so well. Systems remove decision fatigue. When follow-up doesn't rely on motivation or reminders, consistency becomes automatic. Chaos turns into clarity. Instead of asking, "Did we reply to this?" the agency knows exactly where every conversation stands and what happens next. And this is where things usually break down for smart agencies. They assume follow-up is a sales skill issue. It's not. It's an operational issue. And operational problems aren't solved by trying harder. They're solved by building structure that runs quietly in the background. When follow-up is fixed, everything else feels lighter. Sales calls become easier. Pipelines feel predictable. Growth feels controlled instead of stressful. And most importantly, the agency stops bleeding opportunities without even realizing it was happening. If you're curious to see how this kind of centralized follow-up system actually works in practice, there is a free trial link below where you can explore it yourself and decide if it fits the way you want your agency to operate.